The nonprofit social media summit, sponsored by Neon One, is back and bigger than ever. Go to nonprofitsocialmediasummit.com to get your free ticket, and you'll get access to the complete session lineup with speakers on social media advertising, LinkedIn for nonprofits, AI and ChatGPT, influencer marketing, YouTube strategy, and more. You can upgrade your ticket to get the recordings, slides, and a special bonus live training with me to plan for the new year. I know you're a smart cookie. If you want to know what's working right now in social media and how to best plan for the future, you will want to join me in Neon One in November. Go to nonprofitsocialmediasummit.com right now to snatch up your free ticket. See you there. Hello, and welcome to Nonprofit Nation. I'm your host, Julia Campbell, and I'm going to sit down with nonprofit industry experts, fundraisers, marketers, and everyone in between to get real and discuss what it takes to build that movement that you've been dreaming of. I created the Nonprofit Nation podcast to share practical wisdom and strategies to help you confidently find your voice, definitively grow your audience, and effectively build your movement. If you're a nonprofit newbie or an experienced professional who's looking to get more visibility, reach more people, and create even more impact, then you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Nonprofit Nation. Happy to have you with me today. We're going to talk about Giving Tuesday, and we're going to talk not just about Giving Tuesday, we're going to talk about financial giving and philanthropy in all its forms. So sort of the clickbait headline is that we've all heard the alarm bell ringing around financial giving being down and what are the best ways to track it and what's the best data around it. And the shocking thing is that there's actual research being done by other institutions such as Giving Tuesday that shows that while maybe what we think of traditional financial giving is down, it actually, these reports obscure a much brighter truth, which is generosity in all its forms remains strong and resilient globally. And the proof is in the pudding. I have close friend and colleague. My guest today is Kat Murphy-Toms. We just said we think we've known each other for about 10 years. She's the director of digital strategy for Giving Tuesday, which if you don't know, it's the world's biggest philanthropic social movement. Kat studies the use of digital tools and social media within movements, particularly their use in shifting power, mass mobilization, behavior change, and achieving global equity. And we are going to get into it today. We're going to rant. We're going to talk about philanthropy. We're going to talk about giving, and we're going to talk about the problems with the sector. So I'm really excited to have you on, Kat.
I can't wait. We are going to rant.
Yes.
We are going to rant.
We're totally going to rant. So we've heard, like I just said, everyone is so obsessed with this Giving USA report, and there's some problems or there have been some issues raised with the way the data has been collected, but then other people like the way the data has been collected. So can you tell me about what your own research, like what the Giving Tuesday research has shown about generosity and philanthropy and how people are giving back? And then I also want to get into the different ways maybe people are giving back.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of hand wringing in the sector, right? Oh my God, the money's down, the money's down. And I think it's just hand wringing. Where do I start my rant? I think we need to start retraining people and our society to behave in more radically generous ways. And that's what Giving Tuesday is about. And you've heard me say this, and your listeners have certainly heard me say this. My colleagues who came up with the idea of Giving Tuesday did not say to themselves around the lunchroom table at 92nd Street Y that, oh boy, we should create the Guinness World Record-breaking crowdfunding day of all time. Wouldn't that be grand? That was not what they said. Mm-hmm. They said, what if we created a social movement that inspired more people toward more generosity? And it was really innovative thought process at the time, and I think it's never been more needed than it is in this exact moment. How do we radically change the way we behave as a society to where we're centering community care, to where it is occurring to us to do things like, oh, hey, there's a new mom in my building. Let me go knock on the door and see if there's anything she needs. Let me preemptively go make that person a dinner because I know that they're struggling. These sorts of behaviors, I am convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is what's going to pull us through the next decade, through the next years when we are in survival mode. We are going to need to be able to lean on each other. And that is not going to come through in financial donations to nonprofits. That's going to come through in radically generous behavior amongst people and our fellow citizens.
And I think this view, I believe in a rising tide lifts all ships. We also have to understand, and I know you understand this, Kat, that people don't think of themselves as donors. That's not something they say, I'm going to wake up and be a donor. They say, I care about this problem. There's something happening in my community. Maybe people will write a check. Maybe they will, text to donate. Maybe they'll call up and volunteer. Maybe they'll share something on social media. Maybe they'll do some research. And I do want to talk about a project that you've been working on in Chicago that potentially you can tell us about. I know that it was built out of frustration with the slow pace of the government sector, the nonprofit sector, and actually being able to respond, like turn on a dime, because things are so slow and they're so bureaucratic and everyone has to have their I's dotted and their T's crossed. But there is an actual humanitarian crisis like happening in your backyard. So tell us about that and tell us about what you did.
All right. First thing I will say is that, yes, people do not want to be called donors. They want to have agency in what it is that you're doing. I don't think people just want to give money anymore. I think it's been trending that way for a really, really long time. What we're seeing is that people want to become more actively involved in your mission and in the cause and moving the needle on the issue that you're trying to solve. And we need, whether we're nonprofits or mutual aid organizations or change makers in any capacity, I think we need to get better about creating more on-ramps for people to get actively involved in your cause. Over are the days where we can simply be running online fundraising campaigns and asking for money. And
just posting the link on Facebook and thinking it's going to work.
Absolutely not. So that's probably, we'll probably get into that deeper in a little bit once we start talking about how to get ready for Giving Tuesday. What can I say about Todo Para Todos? Todo Para Todos is a mutual aid collective that I am humbled to be a small part of. It's myself and a bunch of comrades, community organizers, neighbors, and some folks from the faith-based community here in Chicago who came together because Texas has been busing migrants and asylum seekers to Chicago. We're a sanctuary city here, and they've been dropping them off at police stations. City nonprofits have not been providing these folks with anything. They've been sleeping on the ground. Until we came along, they were zero services. So we started out just feeding people. We started out getting them blankets, pillows, new shoes, because many of them had walked here through the Darien Gap. We started by bringing them water. And then it got to a point where we were frankly a little frustrated. As you mentioned, we were the only people serving these folks. They had no roof over their head and no inclination at any time in the future that they were going to have a roof over their head. So we occupied an empty warehouse in Pilsen, the south side of Chicago, and we housed 260 migrants. We were doing this for 115 days. Our little makeshift shelter had lasted. And it was operated purely on the power of generosity. That's why I'm coming here to tell you this story today. This is a story of people who shared a common purpose and used radical generosity to change how we participate in the world. We had contractors come in and build bathrooms. We built these little tienditas, we call them little shops, where our residents could shop. Everything was free, of course, for whatever it was that they needed. They could get food, they could get clothing, diapers, toiletry items, any kind of essentials that they needed. We got donations from restaurants all over the city who pulled together to make sure that these folks were fed 3 healthy meals every single day. We had volunteers on staff 24/7. And these are all people, myself included, who have and had full-time jobs And we're doing this in addition to that work because it was such humbling and joyful experience for all of us, right? And I think I will not stop talking about this because I think this is the world that we need to be building together. This whole project was rooted in solidarity, not charity. Our residents took on leadership roles in the creation and the running of this shelter. They were doing everything from giving away free haircuts. There was a man who was a barber in Venezuela before he made it to Chicago, and that was his love language, right? To give back to his fellow migrants. So he was giving out free haircuts, and you could go visit him. We had the residents came up with their own cleaning schedule, right? And trading shifts on helping out in the kitchen, childcare. We leaned on each other for childcare. All of us together between the volunteers and the residents, we managed and we pulled through. It's been the most humbling experience of my life, really and truly. We had to close for a variety of reasons a couple weeks ago, mostly unsustainability. A lot of our volunteers are educators, and had to go back to school. And then we really did need more sustainable volunteer power, but we managed to house nearly every single one of our residents. We put them in safe, permanent, secure housing. They are now all in their own apartments, and the next phase of our work becomes making sure that their homes are furnished, that they are set up with dignity, which is the minimum of what they deserve. And we were able to successfully, in my mind, provide that to them with the little resources we have, but I don't like to say it that way because we actually had so many resources that we were able to pull.
Resources come in a wide variety of shapes and sizes.
Yes. And
not just financial.
When you hear us and my team at GivingTuesday talk about this notion of radical resourcing, we need to be thinking about the way we're generating resources, not in a mindset of scarcity about what I don't have. What do I have to give? And what does my network have in order to contribute to moving the needle on this cause? They have more than you think, and it's more than just money.
Absolutely. I really think this does segue nicely into how to prepare for Giving Tuesday. We need to establish the mindset that the traditional ways of fundraising, you cannot just rely on sending out one email, posting on social media, even sending out one letter. The other thing to know is that people are giving, and they're giving in ways that might not be counted by the Giving USA report or by, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, whoever's managing the philanthropic reports around the sector. Because I'm seeing all of this online. I just saw, what was it? Oh, I have to find this article. The article about the hardest geezer, Russ Cook. What? He's running the length of Africa for a charity, but he started off, he just wanted to run the length of Africa. And he called it Project Africa. And then people said, oh, well, we want to give you money, so he started raising money. And then of course he's now giving it to charity, but people are raising money in all these different interesting ways. The other thing that I want to say is a lot of times, especially around year end and Giving Tuesday, you get a lot of solicitations from, around here, friends and family that say, oh, I'm going to collect Dunkin' Donuts gift cards and give them to the teachers, and that's a form of giving. A person that is giving $30 to fund a gift card for a teacher, or a person that's giving $30 to a fundraiser for the PTO or the Boy Scouts or anything like that, that is giving. And we have to understand that people don't differentiate that. They don't say, oh, I didn't give this year because I didn't write a check to a hospital. It's like, no, I gave in the ways that I wanted to give.
Key to it. That's absolutely the crux of the issue. People do not differentiate their generosity in that way. So yes, it is difficult to quantify, but we truly believe that it's solidly worth an attempt, and we're the only ones doing it. People don't just want to give checks anymore. They've never just wanted to give checks, I would argue, right? People really value giving their time, and they think that it's a really grand gesture for them to do that. And I think we should be celebrating that more.
Yeah, I think so too. And I see younger generations not even vetting charities, things like Charity Navigator or things like those 5-star ratings. That you can't say something to a 20-year-old. They're not going to care. They will say, okay, well, I'm working with my class. I'm working with my sorority. I'm working with, this other program, or I'm doing a project for school, or I'm doing a project with my work. I'm volunteering. I'm painting a shelter, or I'm doing a coat drive, a diaper drive. And to think that money is really the be all end all of philanthropy, I think we've got to get away from that.
Oh, yeah. Young people absolutely want to be actively involved in your mission. We get this constantly. My poor colleague, Dante, who helps lead Giving Tuesday Spark, gets this constantly. How do I convince more young people to donate to my cause? And Dante has to say that shouldn't be the end goal, my friends, because that's not going to be a successful effort. Young people do not want to donate to your cause. They want to have an active role in that change. Mm-hmm. They want to be able to say they're the ones taking ownership and building collaboratively toward making that change. And so savvy nonprofits, all of us have to be building opportunities to get young people involved in the causes more actively.
Absolutely. Like you said, the on-ramps. I love that. I wrote that down. Like where are your on-ramps? And how are you maintaining your on-ramps? Do they have potholes? Are they falling down? Or are they, pretty sturdy and you're constantly showing them love?
Yeah, no potholes. And then more community organizing tactics.
Yeah.
I get this question so much when it comes to social media. Well, my social media strategy is failing. My social media strategy is failing. And they'll blame the algorithms and this, that, and the other. And that's never what social media was supposed to be for, right? They'll say, oh, my likes are down. My page followers, I'm not generating new following. This is all garbage. It's not working anymore. That's never what it was supposed to be for. You're supposed to be using it as a tool for community organizing. If you are not using it in that way, you're going to fail. We need to be generating more conversations with people. We need to be getting into their cell phones, not relying on these algorithms. And I am going to go off on a rant on that in my next little piece here. We need to be getting into people's phones.
Okay.
I think we're missing out on organizing on that. I think we need to be doing more with SMS, but in not the political campaign way where we're only coming to ask for money, right? We need to be building communities where we can ask them for things like, hey, here's an example from this morning. I need somebody who has a truck. I need them to pick up someone who wants to donate a couch to one of my migrants' new homes. Does anybody have a truck? We need to be thinking about tasks like that our supporters can get themselves involved in.
Oh, I love that. So to talk about Giving Tuesday this year, what are the trends? What are you seeing? What's different this year, maybe from last year or for previous years?
We're going to bring the joy back, friends.
Yes.
We were talking about this on our team meeting this morning. We've had, an interesting past few years, right? Between like global political upheaval, the pandemic, rage giving before all that, and maybe amidst all of that too. It's been really like reactive kind of giving. And what we want to do is solidly bring the joy back. Because if people are giving out of a sense of joy, they're more likely to do that again, right? So let's start to stand up campaigns that are rooted in that and rooted in our individual agency to create change, and less so much on this scarcity-based mentality about how there's this urgency and we absolutely need to fund this project or we're all going to die. I think we need to get away from that messaging. I think we need to make things more joyful and show our agency.
How can we do that? What are some ways we can do that?
I'm also looking for more collaboration this year amongst nonprofits. And you've heard me talk about this before. I'm looking for nonprofits to fundraise on behalf of smaller organizations. I'm looking for nonprofits to be in the act of giving this year on Giving Tuesday. Well, I would love to see nonprofits standing up acts of generosity. What is it that your organization can contribute to others and to our community?
I'm writing this down. I saw something last year, and if I can find the link, I will post it in the show notes. I saw an organization that was in Boston, and I am hesitant to mention a name because I'm not entirely sure who it was. They posted that they were donating to 5 different nonprofits. It wasn't the nonprofit. It was the director of development or the executive director was posting on LinkedIn saying, you know what? These are our 5 best partners. We've worked with them so strongly over the past year. I want to highlight their work. I want to link to them and let you know that I'm personally making a donation. And then that kind of created this like spiral of everyone posting and everyone sharing. And it also showed people that there's collaboration happening, that the work is not done in a silo. No organization just does their work in a silo without partners.
No, it's impossible. I think sometimes nonprofits fall into that trap, and maybe they are behaving a little silo-y, but we need to get ourselves up out of that. We are not going to survive on our own. And the sooner we start to build these notion of community care and this helping each other and each other's organizations, whether it's a mutual aid or a 501c3, we need to get ourselves up out of these silos sooner rather than later. So I'm hoping to see a lot of community and collaborative activations on Giving Tuesday this year. What's a need in your community that you can help solve in partnership with other organizations? What can you come together to solve? And your respective supporters are going to be more thrilled with that approach than anything else.
Exactly. Oh, no, I love it. I really love it. I think that it also can help sort of deflect that myth that Giving Tuesday is the Hunger Games, which of course was coined by Voulet, that I disagree with. But thinking of us all in competition and there's this tiny piece of the pie and we're taking a little, guess what? The pie is huge. Okay. There's so much money. There's so much wealth. There's so much generosity. There's so much attention out there. So we have to stop thinking that, oh, I'm the food bank, so I can't collaborate with the library. Because why can't people like both and, want to give to both or participate in both? But it also helps. I know on Giving Tuesday for me, people look to me and say, does my $5 make a difference? Like if I share this on social media, does anyone really care? Does that make a difference? And I always say, absolutely yes. Like, yes, yes, yes. I think that we as nonprofit leaders and staff and consultants and partners need to do more talking about these kind of like micro activities that people might think, oh, I'm not, Mackenzie Scott. I don't have $1 billion. I can't make a difference.
That's the entire premise of Giving Tuesday, right? Yeah. How can we celebrate these seemingly small acts of generosity? And we need to be celebrating them a lot harder and bigger and bolder than we have been thus far, is my argument. That notion of Hunger Games comes from a scarcity mentality, right? And we need to get ourselves up out of that sooner rather than later.
Yeah, no, I agree. So how can nonprofits prepare for a successful campaign this year, whether they're marketing, whether they're fundraising, whatever that is they're doing?
So, figure out your goal is the first thing. And it doesn't have to be raising a certain amount of money. That's fine if it is. But I'd encourage folks to think outside of the box this year. Let's get a little bit more creative with ways that we as nonprofit organizations can celebrate generosity. That's what this is supposed to be about. Yeah. Settle on a goal, settle on one goal. I also advise folks to develop a multi-channel campaign. You cannot and should not be relying solely on social media in the year 2023. With all of the chaos and social media implosion that is happening and will continue in coming years. So think multi-channel. Yes, you want to be emailing folks. You don't need to send them 20 emails. That's a little bit overkill, but I also think one is not enough. And we need to be getting into people's cell phones, really and truly, right? So whether that's sending folks a calendar invitation reminder that it is in fact Giving Tuesday and here's how to participate. I don't know about you, but I do not, this thing beeped when I'm pointing at my Apple Watch. That beeped and told me that it's time to come for this podcast. That's how most people behave these days, right? And
time to drink water. That's what I do.
Calendar to tell them what it is that they need to do. So use that to inform your digital strategy. For a day like Giving Tuesday, it's perfect, right? When you have one solid moment in time where you're trying to direct people to do a certain thing, I think it's a great mechanism to do that. And then start collecting people's phone numbers. Honest to God. We were saying this in the early days of social media too, right? And you had said this too.
Yes.
Don't
build your house on rented land.
On rented land. We need to start collecting email addresses really and truly, and not be afraid to use them either. People want to hear from you. That's why they gave you their phone number or their email address, right? Folks get really, really nervous. Well, I'm contributing to the noise on Giving Tuesday if I send them even one email, which is ridiculous. I think you and I, Julia, right? We get hundreds of emails in our inbox.
The average person does not.
The average person does not. And even
No.
the nonprofit development directors who will bring this question to me, I say the same thing to them. Well, you're signed up for probably a bajillion nonprofit emails because you're looking for inspiration. Your friends and coworkers work there. So you're signed up for a million email newsletter lists. Most people are absolutely not. Absolutely, they are not. I learned from Tim's report, don't include the word Tuesday in your subject line.
Yeah, that's Neon One, Tim Sarantonio. I'll link to it.
Yeah.
Oh, don't include. That's interesting. Yeah. I haven't read the new. I haven't read the new report. Don't tell Tim. Okay, so the new report, I will link to it. Neon One.
Don't use the word Tuesday. But
interesting. Why? Why not?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't. Okay. I don't think there was a reason why.
People are so weird.
So weird.
Behavior
but my
is so
point
strange.
is, don't be afraid to contact your people and start early and mobilize your people. Give them a specific task to do. Beyond just, hey, can you give us money on Giving Tuesday? Why can't it be, hey, can you help us fundraise on our behalf on Giving Tuesday and run a peer-to-peer campaign? Hey, can you help us? We're in desperate need of winter clothes. Our people, like I'm speaking here in Chicago, my migrants from Venezuela are not in possession of winter clothes, and they are going to need it in short order. So I'm going to start asking our volunteers, hey, would you lead an effort to create a coat drive for Giving Tuesday? And they're going to love it, and they're going to have agency in that project and ownership in that, and they're going to be more willing to throw their energy behind that than they would if I would simply say to them, hey, can I have $10 toward my fundraiser to purchase the coats? It's all these little tactics.
And then some people might want to give money. I'm one of those people that it's sort of like the start of the school year. Can I just write a check? I'm not going to buy the mums and do the thing with I'm not doing any of that. I made the decision at the start of the year, I will write a check to the PTO. But this is the season of life I'm in. And a while ago, I would have been really involved and doing way more things. So it's just
to offer different on-ramps because you don't
offer different
know
on-ramps.
Where people are in that moment. You don't know exactly what their capacity is, but you know they have capacity, right?
Exactly. And even if it's just tell 5 people, tell 5 people about us, or tell someone that, that might not know about us. But that's so interesting about not putting Tuesday in the subject line. One other thing I would say, and I want to get your opinion on this. I mean, I've always said people are not participating because it's Giving Tuesday. Like Giving Tuesday is a great, fantastic PR event. Like it's in the news. It's going to be on the radio. It's going to be on the TV. People are going to hopefully hear about it. It gets a lot of media hits. So it might pique someone's curiosity, but it's sort of like, oh, it's holiday time. I have to buy a present for someone I've completely never met or never known. No. I give because of the person, you know what I mean? So it's the Giving Tuesday is the event that is sort of maybe the catalyst.
Yes.
But we still have to remember telling me it's Giving Tuesday is not going to make me give.
No one is giving because it's Giving Tuesday. There, I said it out loud.
You said it. Oh my gosh, we got you on record.
Oh my God. We all say it. This is not news. Everyone on my team says it. No one is giving because you are posting on Facebook that give because it's Giving Tuesday. You have to give people a reason. And you have to give them a bunch of different ways in order to participate in the way that they want to participate. And they do. Giving Tuesday is an enormous moment of joy. That's what this is about. People want to participate in a global movement that celebrates something different. Yeah?
Yes. So, okay. So let's go back to talking about maybe how nonprofits can get out of their own way and stop focusing on these kinds of maybe reports and start really driving some activations. Like what Seth Godin was just interviewed on the Community Boost Nonprofit Marketing Summit. And he said when he talked to Scott Harrison of Charity Water, Scott Harrison was like, I never read nonprofit sector reports. Like that doesn't even cross my mind. I don't worry about what others are doing. Like we like to see inspiration, but how can we get out of that mindset of we're constantly like comparing ourselves to the Joneses?
I mean, our communities are not the same. The community that I have with my mutual aid organization is not the same as the nonprofit organization down the street, and it's never going to be. We have to be in touch with our communities, find out what it is that they're looking for us and have for us, from us, through us, and with us. Yeah. And that's going to look differently for every single organization, no matter who you are. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, I mean, take the data with a grain of salt, but you have to be paying attention to your supporters and the people that you serve primarily, first and foremost. Yeah. So I get charity water, dude. I totally understand.
So I would be remiss if I didn't ask you some more maybe specific questions about digital strategy. You're the director of digital strategy for a large organization, very successful. What are some ways that you keep people? Yeah, a social movement.
So there's what Giving are some Tuesday, ways? The organization, and then there's GivingTuesday, the social movement, which are two different things, but that's okay.
So how do you keep people engaged? Like what are some of your digital strategies to grow engagement, not just on the day, but like year round?
Okay. Where do I even begin with this? We have to stop it on social media. I'm just going to say it. We have to stop it. People are devoting, nonprofit development directors often are devoting way too much time trying to hack algorithms that cannot be hacked. Hours of their time learning and taking webinars about what the newest and latest and greatest strategies in content creation are and probably were by the time that webinar aired and the algorithm has moved on to other things. I think we need to stop it. I think we need to be taking a more proactive approach to community organizing and community building. And I think we absolutely can still do that digitally and using digital tools. And we can and should be doing that. But the same offline tactics that we've been using in movement building can work just as well on digital, if not better. So I'm thinking more groups. Back when Facebook groups were a thing, and I think they still are. I think they've become less important over the years, but I think they're still valid. And I think the reason people liked them was because they had a place that they could belong, right? So I think we need to be creating more spaces like that, whether that's political homes, whether we call that community-based homes, where people can feel a sense of belonging and inclusion and where they can participate in moving the needle on your cause. And the sooner we get better about standing things up like that and standing up mechanisms for people to get involved and engaged, the better off we're going to be. So I'm thinking things like WhatsApp channels. I'm thinking things like maybe it's Facebook groups, maybe it's Nextdoor. I think it's thinking outside the box. Right? This is not
Nextdoor is like up and coming, I think. Or it's coming or it was there. I don't know. I've been seeing more talk about it.
I think you need to go where your people are, right? I can't tell you where your people are. You need to ask them, right? And nonprofits get really confused when I say this to them, and it's baffling.
Where should we be? How much should we post?
It's like, no, I can't tell you this. You need to ask your folks, your supporters, where it is they participated, where it is they like to hang out online. And that is where you go, right? If your community is not on TikTok, don't go there.
Absolutely. So obviously what you said about social media kind of hurts my heart, but I completely agree with you.
I mean, mine too, right? Like
I agree.
And I both have been the two social media gurus these 10 years. I think that's how you and I met.
And I still do, a lot of trainings around social media, specifically in tools and techniques. But what you said is so completely right. It really bothers me when someone is on a webinar or takes a course or training with me, and their main job is supposed to be development and fundraising. And I have to say to them, this is not a red through line where posting on Twitter is going to get you a donation. Like this is more like, much more marketing, much more sort of top of funnel, getting attention, building community, but it's not going to get you necessarily a major gift. You never know, of course, but people do spend hours struggling with like how to get seen on Instagram because it's part of their job description when it probably shouldn't be. And it's a priority that they probably shouldn't have. And I feel like I do feel guilty about definitely like probably, hopefully not contributing to that, but probably contributing a little bit to that. My whole goal is to get people to be clear on where they're spending time and then also to streamline and to be like, okay, we cannot be on 20 channels because it's just not happening. Maybe we can't even be on one. Maybe we're just doing email. Maybe we're doing a podcast. Who
Quality
knows?
over quantity for
Quality
sure.
over quantity.
Has always been true. And I still do believe there's a place for social media in showing impact and transparency. I think those things are very important. And those are going to be the good uses of social media going forward, I think.
Yes.
Young people they want to see your Instagram. If you're not on there,
they want to see your stories.
That's the place where I'm going to recommend nonprofits really consider thinking about developing a presence on, but not just developing a presence. What are ways that you can build a community on there? But I do think it can definitely be used for showing off your impact. Folks want to see what you're doing with that money, where exactly it's going, how it is that you're creating change in your community and what your organization is doing to move the needle.
Yay. This is fantastic. Well, we're getting to the end of this. What's your biggest piece of advice for someone that has maybe never done a Giving Tuesday campaign? What's your biggest piece of advice for them this year?
Be bold. Do something really different. If you think it's a great idea, pitch it to your team. And I want to see people get really, really creative this year. That's my challenge for all of you. Let's center joy. Yes. Let's create a world where someone else's suffering is intolerable to me as my own suffering. Let's build that world. Right? And let's start teaching people the way of how we can all better participate in society.
Kat, where can people find you and connect with you and learn more about Giving Tuesday?
Okay. I'm personally not leaving Twitter until that website goes 404.
It's X now.
No, it's not.
Okay.
No.
Sorry. I don't know. I'm so sad. I wanted to ask you about Threads, but is Threads over? Is that a question?
That's a great question. I don't know. I
don't know either. People ask me that.
App, and I have 10,000 followers on there.
Me too. And I never post.
I've posted a couple things on there. I don't know.
To be seen, to be continued.
I think to be continued, right? And I don't want nonprofits to be secure your handle on all these new platforms, right? But don't spend any time anywhere yet. We need to take a breath and find out which one has legs before we decide where to spend time. But
okay, so where are you on Elon Musk's platform?
Okay, at Kat Murphy Toms is me personally.
And your Twitter is really great. I miss you. I miss following you.
I know. I appreciate you. I might unlock my Instagram. I'm thinking about it. I'll let y'all know on Twitter if I decide to do that. But Giving Tuesday, you can follow that at Giving Tuesday on any social media platform. I realize that I just told y'all that you should not be on every single social media platform. I am, because we're a massive global social movement, and we do need to be on every single platform. So we are. So find Giving Tuesday on your favorite social network and get inspired.
Yes, I love it. Okay, so creativity, number one, be bold. And share campaigns with us. Like we would love to see. I know we both follow the hashtag a lot, the day of and leading up to it. So we'd love to hear from you. But thank you so much, Kat. And thanks for all the work that you're doing. And, I don't really get incredibly political on this show, but if you do live in Texas or Florida, please call your governors and tell them to stop illegally human trafficking and shipping migrants to Massachusetts, New York, and Illinois. Just a little PSA there. But follow Kat on Twitter, follow Giving Tuesday on all the social media platforms, and we'll talk much more about Giving Tuesday on this podcast and in further emails. So thanks again, Kat, for being on here.
Thanks for having me.
Well, hey there. I wanted to say thank you for tuning into my show and for listening all the way to the end. If you really enjoyed today's conversation, make sure to subscribe to the show in your favorite podcast app, and you'll get new episodes downloaded as soon as they come out. I would love if you left me a rating or a review because this tells other people that my podcast is worth listening to. And then me and my guests can reach even more earbuds and create even more impact. So that's pretty much it. I'll be back soon with a brand new episode. But until then, you can find me on Instagram at JuliaCampbell77. Keep changing the world, you nonprofit unicorn.